Welcome to Evil Christianity. I'm broadcasting today, as usual, from our galactic headquarters located in the great state of Alaska, USA. On this day, November 9, in the year of the Lord 2025, this is sermon number 51, titled, quote, Scientific Proof of the Resurrection of Jesus Christ, end quote. And that is Mr. Christ, for those of you who are unsure. Cue the intro. Welcome back, boys and girls. And once again, I had another rough start. For those of you who are wondering why the stream got rescheduled for 8:03. Or 3 minutes after the hour, for those of you not in Alaska time zone. Yeah, so I'm actually broadcasting 8 a.m., 0800 my time. So I just had everything set up. I was feeling good about today, and I hit go, and there was nothing set up. And so for any of you who wanted to, what do they call it, register or join the or be notified for the live stream, that wasn't there. So I don't know how long it's been that way, but I'm certain it was there. So I don't know. It's this is the thing when you do this stuff live. I'm always amazed that there's this one basketball channel that I got recommended to. He broadcasts, I think he does baseball too. It's Bad Dog Sports, something like that. And he broadcasts from the Philippines. He's, I think he was born and raised in New York City, and he's got a heavy accent from there. And he lives now in the Philippines, and he provides this service for those who don't have access to this live sporting event. And he calls it in real time. He watches it on his feed and does the broadcasting. So he's got all kinds of problems because he's got intermittent internet connection. And sometimes he's tied into, I think it's ESPN, and then he's that's providing updated scores and the time and the score time. And he's got all kinds of problems, and he's able to fix all this on the fly. And I am not able to, although I did pretty good this morning. And there's another news guy too I get recommended to by YouTube whenever there's a major news event, and he's out there covering it live. And he's got, like nine different views from all over the world. And he's cutting from one to another. Then he's updating his crayon. That's the text that scrolls at the bottom. And he's updating that himself in real time while he's broadcasting. So it's a different world out there. In the 1960s, all Walter Cronkite had to do was read his script. And now you get these independent news people. And you have to do everything. You have to provide the commentary and read the news and write your scripts and control your light and your sound and your technicals, computer stuff. This is what I do. And I'm getting better. So I've been doing this for more than a year now. But it's hard. And so when you do it live, it obviously increases the degree of difficulty much more. But enough blabbing, as today's the topic of today's sermon, William would tell me. Yeah, he posted. So last week, so I actually looked it up. I think only half the world does this stupid ritual called daylight saving time. And anyway, I went on at length about it last week when we in America set our clocks back 1 hour for a reason nobody can explain. And so I went on to that at length, and William didn't like it. So I'll move along. I think when I started this channel, that was kind of an early issue because I'm setting this up. I have no idea. We didn't have that many people watching. I had 40 subscribers or something like that, and all kinds of technical issues. And I was trying new technology to polish the production qualities of the stream. And I would share that with the audience, and people would, comment to me about, offer advice to me about how I can improve it. And I kind of kept that format where I hit go, the countdown, the 2-minute countdown launches into me speaking. And I've kind of just kept that format of me blabbing on about nonsense. So I listen to other channels and, everybody. So depending on what you want, like, if you have a leaky toilet and you're looking for a video on how to fix it, you don't want 10 minutes of blabbing, right? So different formats and different topics lend themselves to different production events. But this is where I've chosen to go. The audience is increasing, but William's the only one who's commented on my blabbing. But I used to have all kinds of problems. I was just reflecting too, where I had one of my, I think it was my first debate. This is nearly a year ago now. And in the middle of the debate, my computer just crashed. It overheated and it was never the same. And I thought it was a dust problem. I ended up having to get a new computer. So it was kind of fun discussing that, sharing that with the audience. And now I also remember when I first started advertising the channel on Google Ads, that was also quite an adventure. So I shared that. And I assume most people, you're listening to this in a casual way and you enjoy the host for whatever reason and his soothing voice, which now that's a thing too, right? You can fall asleep and there's channels devoted. I was listening to one last night. He calls himself the Sleepy Scientist or something like that. And the topic of the video was something like, is time real or is light time? I think is what it was. And so I thought, okay, let me try this one. And he's putting in intentionally these, I guess they're intended to be subliminal suggestions for sleep. And it was so corny and obvious and contrived that I couldn't listen to it anymore. But he's presenting to it in his intentionally soft and soothing voice, right? He's trying to rock you to sleep. That's too much. I used to fall asleep listening to talk radio when I grew up in Los Angeles, California. And so I was used to people, arguing and callers calling in. That was okay. But there were some political issues that just made me so crazy that I had to turn it off. But generally, that's what I prefer. Although I also in LA, when I grew up, my idol, Dennis Prager, he broadcast, that's his home base, right? Los Angeles on KABC Radio, Los Angeles, California. So I used to listen to him all the time. And he had a show on weekends that was called Religion on the Line. And so he invite representatives from the three major religions, right? Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and they would debate, and it was commercial free. So this is like in the 70s, this was going on. And I loved it because it was from 9 p.m. till midnight, 3 hours commercial free. And so you got these 4 people debating, and it was in all these soft tones. So that was really good to fall asleep to. But Dennis Prager, he is my hero, and he's unfortunately suffered a terrible accident recently. He's paralyzed, but he just started resuming speaking again on the radio. But it's a terrible situation. And the way he put it was, he said, he was lucky for 79 years of his life, and then for one day he was unlucky. And he speaks a lot about happiness and being happy. So with that, we will go to William. And William is not happy. William is a very angry man. And by the way, some of the most nasty people, most angry people I've ever met have not only been Christian, but they proudly proclaim their Christianity. And I'm just saying, let's go over there now to, let me set this up a little bit as if I haven't. Here I am. Did I go for another 10 minutes? 12 this time. So there you are, William. I'm certain he'll be, I get a few viewers who listen very intently to every single word, and they email me with their complaints. So I consider that when I first set up this channel, I was like, well, should I put my email address in here? And I thought, for example, sometimes URLs aren't accepted, or the content of the what you want to debate gets rejected by YouTube. Right? We've all had that happen. So I thought it would facilitate just a deeper debate, and so that's why I provided it. But I get all these nuts who email me now too. I remember my first one. Excuse me, I'm going to pause just for a moment and indulge in a sip from my tall tumbler of delicious and refreshing cyan drink that's in the theme color of the Evil Christianity YouTube channel. And yes, I forgot to look for, we have new straws, but forgot to look for them. And when I paused, I forgot what I was going to say. But let's go to William. Oh, we're talking about how nasty these people are. So the first, one of the first persons I had email me, I asked, what is it about? And he says, I'm just interested in your thoughts. You have some interesting ideas. I'd like to learn more about you. And I said, okay. However, I don't want to be, I don't want you trying to convert me to your weirdo religion. Oh, no. You seem so interesting. And I want to learn more about your philosophy and ideas. So, of course, once we started exchanging emails, he tried to convert me. These people cannot help. So they can't help themselves because they believe God wants them to spread the good news that he sent his son to be tortured and murdered. That's the good news. I guess Jesus wasn't really murdered, right? Murder is a legal definition. Murder is unlawful killing. So I think Jesus was actually executed. So anyway, that's the good news. Okay. So last week we featured this guy. I think his name's William. Call him the pirate guy. He has his profile picture. He's got an African gray parrot on his shoulder, which are wonderful pets. And so I featured him during the sermon. And while the sermon was still going, he was continuing to email me. And he was just making himself crazy. And so let's go there now. Actually, so of course here is, I don't know why I have this. This is from last week. So if you want to read this thread from William, it's my sermon number 50. So you can find, this is last week where I featured him. But this is some of his replies last week. And so here he is, William Witten. And what he's doing is he's going into this chat, was it GPT, one of those things? Another one I see out there people using is Grok. I don't do any of this stuff. I want nothing to do with AI. Because all it's doing is it's aggregating chatter on the internet and spitting it out. Okay, so this is not research. This is just it's just repeating essentially gossip. It's not evaluating the science in a thoughtful way. But this is what Mr. Witten is doing. So he starts off here, and again, this is an email he sent me. Mr. Evil, he calls me. So hate to do this to you, but because that was such a wonderful setup. He calls me Mr. Evil several times on these emails and this and my and the YouTube thread. Let me just go there because it's just too delicious a setup. It's irresistible. So let me go here. Sure, most of you already know where I'm going with this. So I am not Mr. Evil. You can call me Mike. People call me Evil. But if you call me Mr. Evil, this is how I will respond.
In a little while, you'll notice that the Kreplakistani warhead has gone missing. If you want it back, you're going to have to pay me $1 million. Sorry. $100 billion.
Gentlemen, silence. Now, Mr. Evil.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
All right. I just had to. So here he is, Mr. Evil or Dr. Evil. So he wants me to watch, he calls it a YouTube presentation. I haven't clicked it. He gets angry when I dismiss some of his evidence he uses to support his beliefs, but he's sending me stuff that's not science. I'm not going to click a YouTube video. That is not science. Now, if you have science, provide the study title so I can review it and evaluate it. And I'll be glad to respond to you about my thoughts. But so this is what's happening nowadays. You've got these nuts and these activists creating. So for example, specifically for the Shroud, you got these nuts relying on non-science and pseudoscience and concocting a scenario where the Shroud, they believe that image on the Shroud is their God. It's astonishing to me that here we are in America in 2025, and about a third of Christians believe that artifact is the authentic burial cloth of their Lord and Savior, Mr. Christ. And they believe that is God. They believe that is a picture of God. So you get about a third of these Christians. Imagine you're out grocery shopping on the weekend, or at your child's sporting event, or out to the park walking your dog. And imagine how many of those around you are believing that that's a picture of God. It's astonishing to me that people believe this stuff. But they do. And so they become very defensive when others discuss it and dismiss it. And so the problem is that there's literally no contemporaneous evidence that Jesus ever existed, right? None of the gospel authors witnessed Jesus. In the entire first century, he's not mentioned by any historian or any religion scholar or philosopher or nothing. His name doesn't appear in any inscriptions or carvings or sculptures. There's no monuments. There's no, public or private correspondence about him. And this fictional Bible character, commonly known as Jesus, he left no archaeological evidence of any kind. There's no artifacts, no tombs or dwellings or works of carpentry or any manuscripts, nothing. And you would expect that, right? So what you get from the Christians is, well, we can't expect there to be much evidence because this is in the first century in an area where there was a high level of illiteracy and Jesus was not important at the time until he resurrected, right? So they have this built in, and then Jerusalem was ransacked by the Romans in 70 AD. So it's a perfect cover story. Yeah, it's like, oh, why would we expect anything? Yet it was important enough, supposedly, for God to execute one of his sons, have one of his sons executed, and you'd think he'd want to make it known. So that's where the shroud comes in too, boys and girls, that they believe that this is evidence of it. But in fact, there's no evidence at all that Jesus resurrected. And this is what they like. Let me jump over, and you could take it a little bit out of sequence here. Did you know at Mark 8 ended, in the Gospel of Mark, right? It's the first Gospel. It ended at chapter 16, verse 8, right? 16:8. That's where it originally ended. And you can see actually in some Bibles where it puts a note there that this is where the original version ended. So there was no resurrection in Mark's gospel, in the first gospel. And let's go, let me see if I can go to Bart Ehrman here. I'm not sure I'm prepared to discuss. I'm not sure I read this thoroughly beforehand, but let me see. Oh, what do you know? I am a member to Bart Ehrman's blog. Let me see. Like I said, I didn't set this up, but yeah, I did read this part, and I'll read it to you quickly because it's kind of funny. These were all added also. This thing says, and there are signs that will accompany those who believe. They will cast out demons in my name. They will speak in new tongues, and they will take up snakes in their hands. And if they drink any poison, it will not harm them. They will place their hands upon the sick and heal them. So this is where these nuts start drinking poison and playing with poisonous snakes. And I'll continue reading here. Jesus is then taken up into heaven and seated at the right hand of God. And the disciples go forth into the world proclaiming the gospel, their words being confirmed by the signs that accompany them. All right. And I'll continue on using Bart's word. This is Bart Ehrman here. It is a terrific passage, mysterious, moving, and powerful. It is one of the passages used by Pentecostal Christians to show that Jesus' followers will be able to speak in unknown tongues, as happens in their own services of worship. And it is the one and only passage used by groups of Appalachian snake handlers. You ever see these people? It says, who till this day take poisonous snakes up in their hands in order to demonstrate their faith in the words of Jesus. These are Christians. I'm surprised that they're not embarrassed by all this, but I can't change the world. I can speak up against it and show how stupid they are. But there's only so much I can do. These people believe this stuff, and it is, it was shocking to me as a child. I've told about this before. Just when I was about 12 years old, I was like, these people are nuts. I was a child, and that's the way I was thinking. Once I discovered the ancient alien theory, I was like, oh, now everything makes sense. And now finally all these stupid religions will stop. Well, that's not what happened. But that's the way a 12-year-old processes that kind of information. I assumed everybody would come to their senses. Yeah, that's right. That wouldn't be God there. Those would be these alien people. But and the Christians have an answer for that too. They'll say, well, that's those are the fallen angels, right, or demons. So they got an explanation. They've had 2,000 years to work through this. Okay, so here we got Mr. Evil. He's saying, and he's giving me this YouTube presentation, and it's a photograph of a miracle of the resurrection, the science of a miracle. All right, so this is the way they frame it. They think they have science that proves that the Shroud of Turin is the authentic burial cloth of Jesus, and that therefore that proves the resurrection, right? So it ties up a lot of loose ends. First of all, it'll prove that Jesus existed, and it also proves that the resurrection occurred, right? That's the Christian viewpoint. Okay, so this is me here. Notice I'm not using large, bold characters. All right. I say entertainment videos produced by activists are not science. Okay, so if you have science to support your position, just provide it. And he says here, so this is after I published a sermon featuring him, and he's continuing to email me afterward for hours later. He says, I have provided plenty of support for my position. You ignore it proudly and arrogantly. As far as I am concerned, it is futile trying to get you to be rational. Wait, rational? The shroud was painted. There's no science disputing that red ochre pigment was found in the stain areas. There's no science that has found blood on the shroud. And there's no science that has concluded that the 3 radiocarbon dating tests are erroneous. None. Okay, that's rational. And he concludes here. This is a Christian, by the way, boys and girls. So just fuck off. Okay. Should we judge religions by the people they produce and the behavior of the people they produce? I say yes. Yes, that's what I say. All right, let's go. Here's another thread. I could just do all day on this. Well, of course, that is the point of today's sermon. Geez, I could make 2 sermons out of this, actually. I could probably finish it in one if I took William's advice and stopped babbling for the first 10 minutes of the broadcast. All right. I get this all the time too. So STIRP is this organization that was formed specifically to study the Shroud of Turin. All right, STIRP. They were formed in 1977, and they published a final report in 1981. Then they disbanded. All right, so STIRP ended in 1981. STIRP never published any science. All right, they never published any science. And he's going to argue with me. Okay, and I've discussed this. So again, this is coming from AI, this Wax S study. This is complete nonsense. I've actually, if you want to, I suggest you go to this wonderful channel. This is my channel, evilchristianity.com. And you can see what I have to say about the Wax X study. But it's complete nonsense. And then Raymond Rogers' research has been falsified. Okay, so he claimed that this vanillin was only present in the area that was tested, and that therefore the area that was radiocarbon dating test was different from everywhere else on the shroud. And it was known, it's a fact that the shroud was patched in medieval times following a fire it had. So he's claiming that this vanillin was only on the patched area, and that therefore they tested the wrong area, not the main body of the cloth. Okay, so that has been falsified, and it was falsified 20 years before he published his study. Walter McCrone found vanillin everywhere on the shroud. It's everywhere. So he's wrong. And then there's been subsequent studies, and again, you can get these on my website, evilchristianity.com. It's been falsified. So it's just dismiss it. And this is the problem. All this gets messy because they're not making stuff up. They're pointing to stuff, but you have to be a little bit sophisticated to understand the science and understand all this, because there's a lot going on. It has literally been falsified. So it shouldn't even be in the discussion anymore, but they're not going to let go of it because that's how they are. Then I comment about AI. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, I'm not going to look at your AI nonsense. If you have science, just give me the study. All right? Just give me the study and I'll be glad to read it. But I don't want you asking Grok a question and just regurgitating it to me. That's not a proper way to evaluate science. So he writes to me here, if you don't like artificial intelligence, then I can only suggest that you update your own epistemic resources, because AI is the future and is here to stay. All right. How about this? I agree. How about this? I can agree that AI is the future for some things and is here to stay. I get it. What's also here to stay is the scientific method. All right. So that's been around for much longer than AI, and it's the only proper way to conduct science. All right. So notice where he's getting all his resources. Here it is from the shroudofturin.com, and another one is from shroud.com. Right. This guy is marinating in this stuff. Okay. So he's talking here about the blood. No blood has been found on the shroud. All right. So there's no science that has found blood on the shroud. There's been blood proteins found on the shroud, but it was painted with this red ochre pigment and a fixative. And these were made, this fixative was made with animal blood and these blood proteins. You know, the kind of blood, right? If you get it on something, it stains and you can never get it off. That's why this was used as a fixative. But no blood has been found. For example, no potassium has been found. If you run standard forensic test on the blood on the shroud, as Walter McCrone did, it comes back negative. So he's showing us this new insights on blood evidence from the shroud. So let me see if I can find that here. I got so much open. Here we go. So this is what he's referring to. So it's okay. So what's happening here? Well, you know what I'll do? I'll read what I previously wrote. That'll make it easy for everybody. But it's important to know that it's not been published in any accredited journal and it has not been peer reviewed. All right, this is just It's just like anyone else making stuff up. If you had actual science, you would publish it. So I'll just read my commentary. And again, this is on my website, evilchristianity.com. I write here, no blood has ever been found on the shroud. So how to explain that? So this paper is used to explain that only blood proteins and not blood were found on the shroud because the extreme torture inflicted on Jesus caused chemical changes in his blood. Quote, the physical conditions relating to Jesus are discussed from a medical point of view, which could explain all the news regarding the hematic material taken from the Holy Shroud of Turin. All right? So they're acknowledging, this is a tacit acknowledgement that blood has not been found. But they're trying to explain it by saying that Jesus was tortured so much that we can't expect his blood to be normal. All right. So again, as I write here, note, they'll say hematic material, but not blood. So this is in 2004, right? 2024. So in this paper also, this paper also is published by some outfit called Purchase Publication. And it lists a Los Angeles post office box as their address. And they're based in India. And it's on this known list, or a list of known predatory journals, right? That they accept money in exchange for lax review or for publication. And that's what this is. So this is his source. And this is what's happening. You've got this cottage industry of people producing nonsense, and then they can sell their books and go on speaking tours to these shroudy conferences, and they eat it up. And then it gets out there, and AI aggregates it into the Shroud of Turin nonsense that they regurgitate. It's you have to be a little bit sophisticated to understand all this stuff. Oh, here I am. Today I featured you on. Okay, so it's not a peer-reviewed thing. It's a complete nonsense. Let me blow through here faster so I don't hold you all up. Well, he says, you fucked up, Mr. Evil, by lying and making stuff up on your silly YouTube video today. All right. I am used to dealing with charlatans like you on the internet. All right. All right. So no known artist technique could encode this kind of 3D information on the image. Well, that's not true. This can, right? Bas reliefs. And it's been done. Let me show you. I'm going to have to bounce over to this thing. Here we go. Here's a guy who produced it using a bas relief. Right there. Right? This is actual science, by the way. This is a published paper, peer-reviewed, published in an accredited journal. And the guy did it. And after he did it, that weirdo organization that was offering $1 million reward for someone to reproduce it, and they rescinded their offer. So I would say that's pretty insightful. Yeah, look at this. So people say, it's not exactly. Well, it's a proof of concept. He's a scientist. He's not an artist. But look at that. So that's how you do it, using a bas relief. Look at that. There you go. All right. It's not complicated. And this is using methods and techniques that were in common practice during the time that the Shroud of Turin was dated to in medieval times. All right. So again, this is on my my channel, on my evilchristianity.com website. I'm sorry, our website. All this stuff, you can get it anywhere. If you don't trust it coming from my website, there's all kinds of sources where you can get the direct source. All right, so you can do that too. Let's go back to his email. Is there anything else here? Actually, that is false. The shroud is not anatomically accurate. That is false. Oh, there's something else I wanted to talk about today too. Okay, here's something else. So there's this weird device created by, I have it set up. So this is it. It's this thing called a VP8 image analyzer. I don't know what this thing is. This guy built it. It's an analog computer, and this guy built it in 1972. And basically, it represents impressions with different amounts of gray, right? But the range is from white to gray, white to black, right? So it's got from 0 to 10, let's say, and the higher up it is, you might get 10 being a black, and the lower it is, it might be a 0, meaning white. That's all it's doing. It's nothing sophisticated. I had an uncle who created an audio Pong game, and you'd hear he's a computer science engineer, graduate from MIT, and he did this as a hobby. And so you'd hear the ball. So it's the same kind of thing. You're just representing distance through different means. And so instead of audio, he's doing it visually. That's all this thing is. It's nothing sophisticated. He built it himself in 1972. And he produced it on his own. And at the time, he was working for this company I've never heard of, Interpretation System Incorporated. All right. And he or somebody decided to use it on the shroud. So it's as simple as that. That's all that happened. But what happened here, the way it gets processed through the Christian brain, is that NASA performed the science. And it was NASA's image analyzer. That is completely false. And this is not science. So if you think you have something unique, then what you do is you take the shroud and other items and compare them. And let's see if it's really unique. For example, the other replica shroud that we just showed you. You lay them out and you say if the shroud has something that's genuinely unique. And by the way, can I also mention it's been like 50 years. So we have all kinds of other instruments out there. And we still have, presumably, this VP8 image analyzer. Why don't we perform some science if you think you're really onto something? Oh, but he says here, Mr. Evil, you are now chewing on your tongue. Okay. Oh, and I wanted to touch something base here, too. Talking about stirp. What happens is I have so many tabs open. I always think I'm not going to have enough to talk about, and that has never happened. And that's why we're back to part 2 here today. You know what? We will do a part 3 because I want to discuss the pollen also. So one thing that he goes off on here is about the Shroud of Turin. About stirp. Let me see if I can find that. Where does he go here? I don't think that's anything. All right, that's nothing. Yeah, you know what? Let's discuss the pollen, and I will just focus on the pollen next week. I get so deep into this. I got so many tabs open. I just can't. And it gets so complicated too because there's so much nonsense out there. It's hard to just sit there and explain what it all is. Okay, so here's what we just discussed about this, about the tortures. Again, this is not science. It's complete nonsense. But they are acknowledging that they're tacitly acknowledging that there's no blood on the shroud. Here I am repeating what I published on my website about this. Well, he does on here. Here it is. Doctor. You see, I'm real sensitive about that. Mr. Evil claims that Stirp did not publish any papers. He is wrong yet again. All right. Stirp did not publish any papers, boys and girls. I'll just read what I posted here. It was formed in 1977. It issued its final report in 1981, and then the organization disbanded. It ended there. All right? There is none. Now, by the way, this is important to note also. Stirp's leaders served on the executive council of the Holy Shroud Guild, which is devoted to the cause of the reputed relic. Now, he just goes off here and all crazy stuff. He calls me I think he mentioned something about the rantings of a madman. Let me see if I can find it, because that might be fun to end on, actually. I'll try this one. I'm sorry. There's too much. Okay. Well, I had it somewhere where he talks about my rantings of a madman. But let's go back to where we were here, where he talks about Stirp. Mr. Evil claims that Stirp did not publish any papers. He is wrong yet again. So this time, instead of the shroudofturin.com, we're going to the shroud.com, which is also linked on the Wikipedia page on the Shroud of Turins. This is it. So this is called Stirp's Published Papers. So this is the sole source. Stirp has not published any papers. Members of Stirp published on their own years and sometimes decades after Stirp ended. But the organization Stirp had exclusive access to the Shroud to perform their study of it. And it was never scientifically published. All right, so you look at all these. These are just guys. This is not Stirp doing it as an organization. These are just individual members. And I haven't gone through all these to even understand what they are or if it's bona fide science. But these are guys who were former members. All right? He is wrong yet again. No, I am actually right. I am correct yet again. Oh, geez. We're going to have to. Okay. I look terrible, don't I, today? Exhausted. I'm dealing with my puppy. It's going to be 4 months. Actually, it should be 4 months next week. And she's 50 pounds already. A female Doberman. Absolutely nuts. Okay. So next week, we will continue this. So I guess that'll be part 3 of the William Witten trilogy. And we'll focus next week on the pollen because that's fascinating. And there's all kinds of misrepresentations and misunderstandings about the science of that too. And the Shroudies, of course, again, are incorrect. So we'll conclude it there. And as usual, boys and girls, don't be evil. Don't do it. It's bad. Cue the outro.